if you had prepared a statement for us.
Sure. In September of this year, Yahoo announced an extensive data breach of its user accounts. Approximately 500 million individuals, both in the United States and around the world, were at risk of identity theft. We filed a case in the Northern District of California, advancing the interest of two consumers who had contacted us whose accounts were breached. In December, Yahoo came out and announced another billion users' accounts were subject to identity theft. We amended the complaint to include another individual who was involved in that second breach. What's alarming about this is that the first breach occurred in 2014, but Yahoo did not announce it until September of 2016. The December breach announcement was occurred in 2013, and yet for years those breaches remained either undetected or they were detected and Yahoo failed to inform the public about the breaches. Most states have, including California, have a breach notification requirement of 30 days from the detection of a breach to notify affected consumers of the breach. That did not occur.
Can you talk about the scale? I know you mentioned over 1 billion users, but are these obviously aren't just Californians or Floridians?
Correct. These are worldwide. These are users in every country of the earth. The value or the repercussions of this case is we seek to litigate on behalf of all those individuals around the world in one court in the Northern District of California before Judge Lucico.
What do you hope to bring about for the people who were impacted by this breach? What outcomes are you looking for?
Typically, in all the data breach litigation I've handled to date, and what we'll be doing in this case, is to seek the best heightened security measures going forward for users who use Yahoo accounts. Second of all, we'll seek a damage model to assist individuals to recovering the damages they've sustained as a result of this data breach. We've been very effective in the past in other data breach cases to come up with those models, and we'll be doing the same thing here.
What kind, I think sometimes people hear data breach and it's easy to understand something like a credit card, like with your Home Depot cases, but can you talk about what was involved in this particular case? What's at stake here?
In essence, every bit of information that every user had, not only their names, their user account information, their passwords, but also the key to get into their Yahoo account. So depending upon how an individual would have used that account, we have a lawyer in Washington, D.C. that we represent who advocates human rights around the world. His communications with his clients were breached to the extent that users under Yahoo accounts purchase things online and would put their credit card information, their social security information, all of that information would be subject to being vulnerable to use. And the ways identities can be stolen have all types of permutations. It's just not the loss of credit, but credit accounts can be established by data thieves around the world. You could also have runs on bank accounts to the extent that individuals put their bank account information in their Yahoo account. You could have identity theft in connection with if a data thief got a hold of certain medical information, they could go out and establish another identity and go out and get medical services under that individual's name and their credit. So, go ahead.
If I'm a Yahoo user, how do you even know that you've been impacted by this breach?
So, you may not know. Other individuals who've contacted us have claimed they can't get into their Yahoo accounts because they've been locked out. Their passwords have been changed. They've also contacted us talking about extensions of credit or loss of credit. And now they know it's a result of the Yahoo data breach. So you may not know. But if individuals have suffered any kind of identity theft or unusual account activity on their bank accounts, on their credit cards, or if they pull which I recommend, their credit reports, and if they see any kind of unusual activity, it more than likely may have resulted from the Yahoo data breach.
How do other people get involved with this? If you could just kind of break down how a class action lawsuit works.
Sure. So this case involves the consolidation of cases that were filed around the country. I also file on behalf of residents of Mexico a case before Judge Coe. All of those individuals are now before Judge Coe. Within short order, we'll be filing an amended consolidated complaint, which will now advance the interest of other individuals around the world. There's nothing that they need to do other than to monitor their credit, to contact us if they've had problems with any type of credit transaction. The case will then be before Judge Coe. I anticipate the defendant in this case may seek to challenge some of the claims that we will advance in that consolidated complaint. We'll engage in discovery immediately, and at some point we'll ask the court to certify this case as a class action. If the court does certify it, then each member of the class will be contacted, whether it be by U.S. mail or email, whatever address information we have. Obviously, Yahoo has the information of all of its users, so that will not be a challenge. And then depending upon what outcome there is at the trial, what types of relief we can gain, then individuals will have the opportunity to gain that relief, whether it be in terms of justice enhanced privacy protection, but also seeking to recover their damages.
Isn't there some irony there that you could be contacting these people about the class action lawsuit using their email address that was
I
hacked?
guess there is some irony, but thankfully we haven't, because there are occasions in which individuals are affected in class litigation where you're unable to contact them because you may not have their information. You have to engage in the publication of notices. So at least that's a benefit here.
How many plaintiffs do you have thus far, or is it all of them?
Well, I have not totaled the number of plaintiffs in each of the cases. There were 18 cases filed that supported our leadership application. There were 3 other law firms. All those law firms combined have multiple plaintiffs. For instance, in the complaint I filed, we have 3 plaintiffs. In the McMahon case, in another case that I filed on behalf of Mexico, the citizens of Mexico, there was 1 plaintiff. So probably have around 50 to 100 combined.
You mentioned other data breach cases that you've argued before, but this is a fairly new problem that's out there. Can you talk, and this is the biggest one we've ever faced.
This is not only the biggest data breach, it's the biggest class action ever filed in the history of the world because of its impact. Typically, the types of data breach cases that have occurred in the past are those involving payment cards. Target and Home Depot involved the impact on people's debit and credit cards. We mentioned off camera the Office of Personnel Management that lost 22.5 million federal employees, their dependents, as well as contractors. Every federal judge, every FBI agent, you can imagine, people other than CIA who had their information on a different server, all of that was impacted. And it involved very extensive information. So in some respects, that may be a similar type of case in terms of the wealth of information. But there again, it didn't involve people putting into their Yahoo accounts or in emails information that might be very sensitive. This is certainly the most unique case in that there has never been a hacking of emails to this extent.
I know, I mean, just from personal experience, I was involved in one involving a car that had advertised itself one way. Class action lawsuit took them, to court, and then they had to pay out users or people that bought that particular car. What do you expect for people down the road if you are successful in winning this?
If we're successful, we anticipate having a tremendous sum of money which consumers can claim into to compensate them for whatever they can support in terms of their damages. So for instance, if an individual were to have a credit taken out in their name and they have a $5,000 loan that they've not repaid because they never took out that money, we would anticipate having the ability of getting $5,000 to pay them to pay off that debt. Same thing if somebody had unanticipated medical expenses, somebody went out and took their identity, went to a doctor, had a surgery for whatever, incurred a debt, again, money to compensate them to pay that debt down or pay it off,
So the people that would become involved in this class action lawsuit, it's not just Yahoo users, but you actually had to have your identity stolen in order to participate and receive the relief?
Well, everybody who is a Yahoo user will see the benefit of this case in that they will have enhanced privacy protection going forward. We'll make certain that this problem never happens again. But to the extent to get compensation, obviously they'll have to document or demonstrate they've suffered some kind of economic loss.
I know you, I think it was 13 million, the settlement from Home Depot. Do you have any idea of a number that you're seeking in this case?
Well, I know that Verizon is, as represented before Judge Koh earlier this week, is going to purchase Yahoo in the second quarter of this year. So that's a good thing because it will provide a much more financial stability to Yahoo going forward. But in terms of the amount of damages, certainly in the hundreds of millions. But at this point in time, it's too preliminary to determine how the class has been affected. But it'll be extensive.
When do you expect this to go to court, like for this to actually, the trial?
Well, your question has two things. We'll be in court almost monthly, if not even more frequent, before Judge Koh. In terms of a trial, Judge Koh tends to push her docket very quickly, as most federal judges do. We anticipate a trial of the case within the next 2 years.
What are the next steps? Like you mentioned the email addresses. Are you going to be actually emailing all these people and asking them if they were affected, or what do you plan to do next?
So the class has already been contacted by Yahoo as a part of the breach notification law. At least that's what we hope. Every consumer has been contacted. Perhaps some in other countries may not. That's something that we'll be sitting down with Yahoo's counsel to determine. And that's their obligation under the law. The next time that we communicate to the class will be in connection with the certification order in the case. That is, once the court has certified the class, we'll be contacting everyone to inform them of their rights to participate in the class or to opt out.
And it's up to them to call you and say, I want to be a plaintiff.
Right now, there's a putative class action. That is, all the individuals that we represent are seeking to represent everyone in this country and in the world. So there's no need for anyone to contact us because they're in the class. The court will decide whether or not that class should be certified. Certainly, if there are individuals who've got problems with your Yahoo accounts, we'd ask them to give us a call. I'd be more than happy to talk to them.
Anything else you want to say? I know you went against other law firms to actually handle this case. Anything that you wanted to say as to your thoughts on why they selected your firm over the others? And
certainly. Well, Morgan & Morgan is the biggest law firm of its type in the country. We represent only consumers. We have over 300 lawyers in a number of states across the country. We have both the legal talent and the financial strength to take on anyone in this country. The application that we filed with the lawyers that support us in connection with the executive committee also bring forward a tremendous amount of depth and experience in data breach litigation, which has also been a focus of my career for the last several years.